Hey everyone and welcome back. Now today we'll be speaking about API. Now I'm very sure that if you're working in industry you might have heard about this specific term a lot of times. So what we'll do today, we'll go ahead and understand what it means in high level overview. So let's get started. So by definition, API stands for Application Programming Interface, and it is generally used for intercommunication between multiple softwares. Now definitely you can do intercommunication between multiple softwares without API as well, but using API has a tremendous amount of benefits, and we'll look into when we go ahead with a demo session. So generally, one of the advantages of using an API is that the exact structure of requests and response is documented upfront, and it is likely to remain the same throughout the time. Now this third point might be a bit confusing right now. So let's take a simple use case and understand on what exactly it means. So the use case today is a simple weather application where James wants to build a weather report application. Since it needs weather report for all the countries, he wonders where he can get all the data from. Now there's a website called as Open Weather Map which has all this data, and thus James decides to integrate his application to fetch data from Open Weather Map database. Now the question is, how will he pass this data? So a very simple use case, I would say, where someone wants to build an application, let's assume an Android application which reports the weather. Now in order to do that, what you have to do, you have to have a sensor which will capture the weather information. Now if it is just India, you can have sensor in every city, not a very major task to do. But if you want to report weather of all the countries throughout the world, then you need sensors in each and every cities, and this is quite a challenging task definitely for an individual to do. So this is the reason why there are many websites which collects those data for you, and you can use those websites to get the information from. So we discussed that Open Weather Map is one such website. Let me open this up. So this is a website, and it contains or it gives information related to the weather of each and every city. So let me do one thing. Let me put Mumbai over here. And once you click here, it gives you a precise information related to the current weather. It tells about the wind, about the cloudiness, about the pressure, humidity, sunrise, possible sunset time, and it also tells you the weather of upcoming 1 or 2 weeks. So this is quite a amazing website to get the information from. So I have a simple Android application. Let me just show you. So this is a simple Android application, I hope you can see, which tells you the weather of a specific city. And if you see over here, it actually shows you the weather of every hour. I hope you can see. So question is where it is getting the data from. I'm 100% sure that all the weather applications, or I would say most of the weather application, will fetch the information from some kind of a website similar to this one. Now the question is, how will the application get the data from? One is, you see, every city has a city ID. So Mumbai has this specific city ID. So what an application can do, application can parse this specific web page. It can get this information. It can get 32°. It can get the wind speed. It can get the pressure. It can get humidity, sunrise, sunset, etc. So this is quite easy and to understand. But the application will stop working if the interface of the website changes. So as a manual way of doing it, manual way is the easiest way is to open the website and see, okay, this is the temperature, this is the pressure. Now, when you talk about software needs some kind of a intelligence. So you can, let's assume you can download this page and then you can parse each and individual field. Now here the challenge is, if the website interface changes, then your application will break down. And this is the reason why this approach is not a very good approach. So here you will see there is a tab called as API. So let me just click it up, and you will find that the Open Weather Map API is simple, clear and free. So what you can do in API is you can send a request to the API of this website asking for a weather of Mumbai, and API will give you the result in a JSON format, which is textual format. So the softwares will be able to parse it quite easily. So let me show you on how that would work. So I have a simple API request for Open Weather app. I'll just copy this request and I'll paste it over here. So now if you'll see, what is happening is I made a curl request of get on the API. You see api.openweather.map, and here we have passed the query, and the query is Mumbai. And what it is giving is, it is giving me the result in JSON format. So this is a textual format. So if you will see over here, wind speed is 6.2. If I'll go over here, the wind speed is 6.2. Now, if for a software application, this is very easy to understand and easy to parse. And this is the answer for the third point, that with an API, the exact structure of request and response is documented upfront and is likely to remain same throughout the time. So this specific structure is likely to remain same. Although the website interface might change, the structure of the API request and response will remain same. So what my weather application can do is, it can do a curl request, and then it can parse the value associated with each and individual field. So it can parse the pressure is 1006, and then my weather application can take this data and display it to the user. So quite a easy way to do things. And this is the reason why API is very useful. So this also answers our second point, which means it is generally used for intercommunication between multiple softwares. So in my case, the curl is a client and api.openweather.map is another software. So it is generally used for intercommunication between two softwares. In case a human wants to go through it, then they will not prefer to read in API or a JSON format. They would rather prefer to read it in a GUI way. Perfect. So you got the basic overview on what a API means. So we'll not just end here. I have second use case so that this things becomes much more clear. Let me just open up the PPT. And the second use case is infrastructure overview. So what this means is, you want to have list of all the instances in your cloud environment along with their names, IP addresses, operating system name, kernel version, region, backup window and available snapshot. How will we go ahead with this use case? So very simple use case, and this is something that you might find in your organization as well, where your CTO is asking for detailed infrastructure based information. So one way to do it in my case, I am using DigitalOcean for my websites. So quite cheap. So in DO, I have two servers. If you'll see, it shows me the name of servers. You have My Dreams, you have My Life. It shows me the IP addresses. So if I just open it up, it gives me more detailed information, like it has 1 GB memory, 30 GB disk. It is located in Singapore region. It has CentOS 7. The private IP is this. Now it also, if you'll see, it needed a backup windows and the available snapshots as well. So in order to do that, I can go to the backups, and it shows me the backups of my current droplet. For snapshot, it shows me the available snapshot associated with the OS. Now in this case, just have two servers over here. Now one thing that you might have figured it out. Now if you want to have this information and give it to the CTO, then you have to open up each and every server, write this information in Excel sheet, and once information is complete, give it to the CTO. Now let's assume you have 100 servers. How will you do that? So doing things in the GUI way is not always a right solution. So if you talk about DigitalOcean, you see again there's a tab called as API. So if I click on API, it gives me a lot of information related to the API keys. So let me do one thing. I already have I'll copy and I'll paste it over here. So this, what we are doing is we are sending an API request to DigitalOcean to give information related to the infrastructure. Perfect. So now if you will see, let me go up. So it gives me information related to the droplet. The name is My Life. If you compare it here, let me go back. You see, it is giving me information about My Life first. So now you see the memory is 1024, the CPU is 1 core, the disk is 20 GB. It tells me the OS, it tells me the kernel version. It also tells me the available backups which are there for this server. It talks about what are the available snapshots. It talks about when will be the new backup which will be taken for this server. Along with that, it also talks about the region on which the server is launched, the IP addresses. This is a private IP and this is a public IP. So the region is Singapore. And if you go down, this marks the end of the first VM. The second VM is My Dreams. You see, we have total 2 VMs, and for the second VM also it tells all this information. So now you will see doing things in a API way is very fast, and you don't really have to do a lot of manual work. And specifically when two softwares are communicating, then the API is like a best thing that you can use. So but at the least, I would like to show you one more interesting thing. I hope you're not bored. So if I'll go to facebook.com/YouTube, so you will see it is showing me the YouTube page. Now Facebook also provides the API. So here, if I'll just put a graph.facebook.com/YouTube, now you get a message saying an access token is required to access the resources. And this is very important. Whenever you have an API, you should always have a access token along with it, something similar to a username and password. Like if you want to log into a Facebook, you have to provide a username and password. Similarly, if you want to get a information from an API, you have to pass a token. So in Open Weather Map, the reason why I am able to access the information via API is because I have a token associated. So if you will see, I am passing a token ID. So this is my token ID, and this is the authentication parameter. Same for DigitalOcean. You see, I have a token which I'm pushing along with the request. So there are some open APIs also available, but the best practice says that you should always have a token associated with the API. So this is it about this specific lecture. One thing I would really encourage you to do, just sign up for the Open Weather Map and once you do a sign in, let me show you. It actually, there is a API keys, and you can generate an API key from the website itself, and then you can use this API key to query a specific API. So this is it about this lecture. I hope this has been informative for you. And if you have any doubts, suggestions, questions, feel free to mail us at Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn, or mail us at instructors@kplabs.in. Thanks for watching.